Hello there, everyone. Welcome to Blue Jackets. It's a fun Blue Jackets themed podcast. My name is Kevin, and joining me tonight is my co-host Hefty Duck, as well as friend of the show, one of the people who've come on time and time again. It's our Boston Bruins friend, Wyan Wood.
Would.
And, who knows? We might get some other guest appearance, Harry's come on our show randomly. Ian, he's come on our show randomly. So, you never know. Maybe they come on, maybe they don't. If not, there's always next time. But anyways, the Blue Jackets have played 2 games since our last show. They get 2 big wins. They beat the Devils 3-0, and the Blue Jackets beat the Blackhawks 4-0. A lot of good moments in those games, and we're going to talk about it. Great stuff. This is going to be a little light on the Blue Jacket stuff because there really isn't a lot to talk about. So I had to find other stuff to talk about. One of those being is that this past Saturday night, Ohio State hockey was on Big Ten Network. And I watched that, and they played the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and they won 2-1, and I'm going to review that game and share my thoughts on that game. So we got that and some videos to share and so much more. So let's get going, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Welcome in. I hope everyone's having a warm weekend. It was like -4 degrees last night. I hate this place. But it was pretty cold. I was in Columbus yesterday, and yeah, I'm tired of it. At least it got warm up a little bit. Of snow melted, so the streets are a bit more clear, but damn. Anyway, I hope everyone had fun at their Super Bowl parties and whatnot.
I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't go to any parties. I saw part of it on the TV. I was at Pins last night for a bit, but I wasn't there to watch the game, really.
I didn't actually go to a party, but
I get it. Why I understand why didn't have a good time because he likes the Patriots. So I get it. That was not exactly a good showing there from the Patriots. That was definitely not Wood.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, that's true.
There she goes.
That just happens.
Absolutely.
But
yeah, other than that, don't forget to follow, subscribe, share wherever you're watching from. If you're watching us on Twitter, check out. I posted the YouTube link earlier. Check us out on YouTube. If you're on YouTube already, don't forget to subscribe there. Excuse me, my voice is getting a little froggy right now. But yeah, what a week we've had. I'm forgetting something.
All right. Before we get going here, as always, gotta check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers, a fun Blue Jackets themed fan group that I run. Check us out. We do a lot of fun stuff like marches to cheer on the Blue Jackets from our bar to Nationwide Arena. A great fun time to bring Blue Jackets fans together to cheer on the Blue Jackets. It's been on TV and at Blue Jackets games and so much more. So, check that out. And follow Union Blue Soldiers on all social media platforms. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. So, we'll get going by starting this way because, it's been a bit since Wine's been on our show. And, I want to ask him some questions on what's going on with, of course, Ohio State guy, Mason Lohrei, and he's a big Bruins guy. So, we'll just ask him what's going on with the Bruins. So, Wine will get you in here. Mason Lohrei. What's going on with him and the Bruins?
Yeah, so Mason Lohrei kind of had a tough start to the season, but I think recently he's definitely found his game, especially after he was reportedly included in a trade package for Rasmus Anderson. That didn't go through, obviously. He went to Vegas, but he was a part of that package supposedly. But since then, he's really stepped up and proved why he thinks he should stay on the Bruins organization. He's got 6 goals, 17 assists, 23 points on the year, which isn't bad for the minutes he's getting. and
Oh, yeah.
surprisingly, he's a +8. I mean, I think he's improved defensively as well.
Perfect. Perfect. That is great to hear. And at least for one, I hear that he was part of a trade package. Obviously, it didn't happen, but at least from my perspective, outsider looking in, that kind of seemed to get his attention. Like, dude, you need to pick it up, otherwise we're trading your ass.
Yeah, it definitely could have been a way to light a fire under him.
But
sure.
what's going on with the Bruins? Why?
Well,
Yeah,
can I specifically ask you something about some other?
We'll get Hefty Duck in here. We'll get Hefty
So, former Blue Jackets players, recent Blue Jackets players. How is Sean Crowley and Andrew Peak fitting in there? And isn't Corpus Salo there now too?
Yes.
Yeah, they're all there.
How's that working out?
They've been all right. They've been mostly role players, but I think Crowley's been okay as our fourth line center. Andrew Peak might be used as trade bait at the deadline, as he's a UFA coming up here, so they might sell him off before he walks for nothing. And then Corpusalo, I mean, not the greatest numbers, but he's a backup.
Oh shit! Right on. I was just curious. I mean, I don't pay attention that much. I was looking into Chinikov a little bit earlier. He got traded to Pittsburgh earlier this year.
Oh yeah, he's been
been pretty
lighting
well.
it up for them.
Yeah.
Say what?
He's been lighting it up for them.
Yeah, he has. He's been doing really well over there.
Right.
So, and sometimes you just need that breath of fresh air. You need a new place.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll get to my question now. So, what's going on with the Bruins? Why?
Yeah, the Bruins have been a big surprise this year, honestly. I think most people had them, myself included, at towards the bottom of the division, but
Yeah.
they're now firmly in a wild card spot right now with pretty decent separation heading into the Olympic break. Yeah, I think if you told people that heading into the season, they wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah, but hey, you take it. You're doing better than expected. You take that because that's what happened with the Blue Jackets last season. They weren't expected to be very good, and they did way better than expected. So you take it. That's just my opinion on that. What happened in the outdoor game, Lion? Because the Bruins were playing a good game. They're up 5-1, and then they just kind of pooped their pants there.
Yeah, it's definitely been a big problem for them this year. Has been the penalties they've been taking. They've taken the most penalties in the league by a pretty wide margin. So they're not very disciplined. And their penalty kill hasn't been great either lately. So yeah, if you're giving a team like Tampa that many power plays, it's not going to end well.
Yeah, because I was watching that game because it's like, I'll be like, man, an outdoor hockey game in Florida. Like, I gotta see what that's like. And then I like the color rush matchup. I like the blue that the Lightning had, and I like the yellow that the Bruins had. So I like the blue versus yellow color rush. And I was just watching that game, and of course the Lightning, they get the first goal, quickly. It's like, whoa, that they're starting off hot. And then after that, it kind of went down the toilet for the Lightning, and the Bruins were just smoking them. And I'm like, oh boy, wow, the Bruins are playing a good game here. And I think you said it perfectly. The penalties, that was just so stupid. It cost them.
Yeah, you can't take that many penalties against that team. You just can't.
Because realistically, as soon as they got that fifth goal, that was it for them. They didn't really have anything after that.
Yeah.
They just stopped playing. And I honestly am not a Bruins guy, but outsider perspective, I'm looking at that like, why? Like, just you're playing a good game there, and you just stop playing. I just don't get it. I just don't.
Yeah, that's a point that just hurts to lose because you should win that game regulation 10 times out of 10.
Right. And ugh. And then that was just not good for the Bruins. And then
division rival too. So yeah,
division rival, yeah, can't. And again, like I'll ask you about this, but like, how come Pasternak wasn't out there right away for the shootout?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Marco Sturm's done a pretty decent job as head coach his first year, but I think his shootout decisions are very questionable.
Yeah, like, because I'm looking at like what the Lightning are doing. It's like they're throwing out their top guys. They're throwing out Getzel, Kucherov right away, and then yeah, you're throwing out guys that one of them has never had a shootout attempt, and the other one is kind of. I saw the stats. He was kind of average, kind of okay. It's like I'm throwing. Again, not much of a Bruins guy, but outside of perspective, if I'm in a shootout, I'm throwing Pasternak out there right away. Like I need a goal. Like who can I count on? Pasternak. Let's get it done. But that's just me though.
No, I agree with you. He definitely should be. He should always be shooting in the first three at least.
Yeah, because there have been some games with the Blue Jackets where it's like it's not as big of an issue anymore. But like start off when they're in shootouts, it'd be like some of the guys like, huh?
Yeah.
Like you'd be like, okay, like no, like Krill Marchenko or like Adam Fantilli or Ken Johnson or someone who can score. Like that needs to be there. And then they eventually they did figure it out. And now it's the last couple times they've been in the shootout. It's been like Kent Johnson, Adam Fantilli, Krill Marchenko. And if none of that, and if you get to a fourth shooter, it's been Charlie Coyle, who's been awesome because he's got 2 game-winning goals in the shootout. So there's that. So I get that, Wine. I get that. Sometimes some of these coaches, they're so smart and brilliant in many ways, and then they have a brain fart moment where they're just too smart for their own good, whether it be an overtime line, your shootout choices, or whatever.
Yeah, it might have to be my time to ask you, how's Charlie Coyle doing?
Oh, God, I love that guy. I want to give him a nice big hug. I do. What a banger. What a banger. Such a stud. I love that guy. I want to give that guy a nice big hug because he has been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I saw he had like 4 points against Chicago, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a day after or the day of his like 1000th game.
And
they got his 200th point or assist.
Yeah, like when he's really going, he's definitely one of the league's best third line centers.
And that's what he's been. He's been a good third line, fourth line guy for the Blue Jackets. So
42 points. He's third in points in the Blue Jackets right now.
That's insane.
Yeah.
He is just like last year, the third and fourth line was a weakness for the Blue Jackets, and that's not the case this year. That's one of their strengths, that they have a good third, fourth line, and Charlie Coyle is a big reason for that. That game he had against the Blackhawks in Chicago, 4-point night, including the hat trick, just really good. Offense, defense, power play, penalty killing. He'll block shots, face-offs. Oh, he's third or fourth line guy. So good at it. Like, damn, that was a great move, Blue Jackets. I love it. Good job, Don Waddell.
Yeah, I'm glad he seemed to have found a home in Columbus. I mean, I remember when we first brought him in at the 2019 trade deadline, he was just as electric as he is right now for you guys.
Oh, so good. And then some people were kind of pissy about it because I get it. We gave up one of our top prospects for him, Gavin Brindley, and he played at Michigan. And the Blue Jackets have a history of getting good players from Michigan. So, he probably would have been another good player from Michigan if he, played for the Blue Jackets consistently. And, he was Big Ten Player of the Year in hockey. So, I get it. And he had good chemistry with Adam Fantilli, part of those 2 teams that went to the Frozen Four. So, I get it why people were upset. But it's like, look, at that point in time, the Blue Jackets desperately needed help on their third and fourth line. They just did. Last year, that third and fourth line, they did the best that they could, but times it just wasn't it because it was just a big mishmash of players and trying to figure out if it worked out or not, and you just can't have that. So Charlie Coyle.
You gotta give to get.
Yeah, that's right. You got to give to get, and that's what it costs to get Charlie Coyle as one of our top prospects. So it had to be done, and it worked out beautifully. So God bless you, Charlie Coyle. I really want to give you a nice big hug and just say thank you. God.
Yeah, he's been doing great. I mean, he's just been on fire lately too.
And his 1,000th the game against the Flyers, he had his 1,000th game, and he gets the silver stick, and then shortly after that the game starts and he scores a goal. Like, what a way to start a game! Just so good. And I'm saying, like, I like his directness on the power play. That's another thing I like. God damn. Sometimes I just see it where, you know what, there's just too much BS there. It's pass. We're looking for that perfect play. And Charlie Coyle does not do that. If he gets the puck, he's going to shoot it. Or if he's right by the net and he gets the puck, he's going to just trying to jam it in there. And he's had some success with it. He scored some goals like that where he just jams it in there. And I just love it. No BS.
Yeah, he's always been a puck protection wizard too, at least in Boston.
Yes. In fact, and we'll talk more about this later on in the show when we're talking about the games, but he helped set up the third goal against the Blackhawks because the Blackhawks tried to get it out and he picked it off and kept it in the zone. And then nice play to protect the puck. Blackhawks tried to get it from him. They couldn't get it. And then he just fired it over to Den Heinen. And then he shot and scored. It was just like that play was just doesn't happen without Charlie Coyle. He's just
I forgot you guys have Heinen too.
Yep. Yeah. And hey, you know what? He's been a good third line, fourth line guy for the Blue Jackets too. Just
you want Marcus Johansson too? Wait on Team Bruins.
Yeah. Well, I think we're good. No, I've seen him play with. Obviously, I've seen some games where he's played with like the Bruins and Minnesota, and he's looked good. So like, I'm not doubting he wouldn't be a good player on the Blue Jackets, but we're good. We're good right now. I think we're good in that regard. So there's that. But if you take away the Bruins losing that outdoor game down in Florida, if you take that away, like what do you, looking back on it, what do you think? Because me personally, I think it was pretty cool to see an outdoor hockey game in Florida, Wyan.
Yeah, I mean, it was still a very entertaining game. And yeah, the color matchup, like you said, was very good.
I would agree. That was great. That was a great color matchup there. I like that blue and yellow, and then it kind of got me thinking, like, yeah, man, the Blue Jackets should have done that with their outdoor game. Like the Blue Jackets wear blue and Detroit wears red. I think that would have been cool. Because honestly, I don't think the Detroit jersey was that very good. It's just kind of there. And this is kind of backed up when you saw the reaction to both teams' jerseys. 9 times out of 10, most of the comments were saying something about the Blue Jackets. And then there's that one comment that said something about Detroit. Like, it's okay. It's okay. And then I remember, like, watching the hockey guy. He did a video where he did an unveiling of both the jerseys. And he loved the Blue Jackets jersey. He had all the nice things to say about it. Oh, I love it. I love that the Blue Jackets did this and they did that, and I love the cannon and the sparkly silver and this and that and ba. And then he gets to the Detroit one. It's like, it's okay. I like it, but it's okay. And I kind of laughed at it. It's like, yeah, that's what most people said. But anyways. All right, so we're a little over 20 minutes here, so we've done a little good talk there. Now we'll get going to the two games here. So first off, the Blue Jackets played the Devils in New Jersey, and they beat them 3-0. Good game. This, I'm going to say this now, this will be the first ever 10 out of 10 game that we will be rating on this show. That's never happened before, and we've gotten very close. We've had multiple 9 out of 10 games. But usually 10 out of 10 doesn't happen because the Blue Jackets usually do something that we don't like. At least one thing. You know, they give up a goal or something that bumps it down to 9 out of 10. But not this time. This will be the first ever 10 out of 10 game we've reviewed on this show. And I'm going to tell you why, and then after that, Hefty Duck is going to get in here and share his thoughts on it as well. But at least for me, it's a 10 out of 10, and I'm going to tell you why. So, this is one of those games where for a good chunk of the game, both teams are playing really good defense, and there isn't a lot going on offensively. But what I really like about this is that the Blue Jackets, they just stuck to their game plan and they kept going. They did not let the Devils, aggressive style of defense that they were playing frustrate them or get in their way. They just kept playing their game, stick to it, and eventually you're going to get your chances. And that's what happened. So first period, the Blue Jackets think that they score a goal. It gets called back for goaltender interference, which I understand why. Because, Miles Wood, he went into the crease on his own. And then goaltender interference. But I'm going to call this out here. Like, I get why they took the goal away. But you could also make the case why the goal should have stood because of this. So Miles Wood, he does go into the blue paint by the goalie, and then he's trying to get out, but guess what? He can't get out because the Devils player pushes him into the goalie, and then he falls down, and he's trying to get up, but the Devils player doesn't let him get up, and you see it on the replay, he's holding his stick. He's trying to get up, and he can't get up. And then he sees a shot coming, kind of up high from Den Heinen, and understandably so, Miles Wood is like, oh crap. So he kind of puts hands over his face to protect himself. And then also in that process, because he's trying to, get out, but he can't, that's when the Devils goalie bumps into him and then the puck goes in. So goaltender interference, I can see why you called off that goal, but if we're being honest here, that goal probably could have stood there, and you should have called something there. Because the reason why the goalie bumps into Miles Wood, because he gets pushed into the goal, and then he falls down, and then he's trying to get up, but he can't get up because the Devils player that's right by him is not letting him get up. So, I'm just going to say, I think there were some shenanigans there. At minimum, if you're going to take the goal away, I think something should have been called there. Because to not let Miles Wood, to push Miles Wood into the goalie, and then he's down, and he's trying to get up, but you don't let him get up, that's stupid, and that's idiotic, and that's some shenanigans right there. Something should have been called right there if you're going to do that. But it didn't. And then the rest of the first period, there really wasn't a lot going on there. Second period, there were some chances that the Devils could have scored there. So the Blue Jackets had some chances too where they could have scored. But the penalty kill for the Blue Jackets really came up strong that period. Because that was a game that could have been 2-0, 3-0. But penalty kill stood strong, kept it 0-0. And then we get to the third period. And this is why it's important that when you play a game like that where both teams are playing really good defense and they're giving each other team not a lot to shoot at. This is why it's important to just keep going and stick to your game plan. Because eventually the Blue Jackets get a goal from Dante Fabro. Because the Blue Jackets, they have the puck in the offensive zone. They're getting a good shift in there. They're putting the pressure on. They shoot, save is made, and then the puck bounces to Dante Fabro. And Fabro shoots it, scores. That happens because you stick to your game plan and you just keep going. You put the puck on the net, and when you get the rebound, you put it in, score. Now, we go to the second goal later on in the game. They get a big goal from Matthew Olivier. Because up until that point, the Blue Jackets are playing a real good game defensively, not giving the Devils much to shoot at. And then when you have your chances to score, you put it away. Matthew Olivier gets a big goal to make it 2-0 on a little breakaway, little backhand, and then a forehand, just kind of squeezed it in there. Awesome play. And then Matthew Olivier gets another big goal to make it 3-0. And in my opinion, it's off an empty net. And in my opinion, it was a little over, I think, like 5 minutes to go in the game. And in my opinion, the Devils kind of had a brain fart moment there where they pulled their goalie like way too early, and then they get scored on. And that was essentially the game right there, because realistically, you're not coming back from 3 goals in that short amount of time. You're just not, realistically. So you get a 3-goal third period. That's a big reason why you win. You know, Elvis Merzlikins, awesome. He played a good game. And you shut him out. Overall, one of the best games you played all season long. And between playing really good defensively, a 3-goal third period, and a real good game from Elvis Merzlikins, and you shut them out. Overall, awesome game. 10 out of 10. Nicely done, Blue Jackets.
Yeah, first 10 out of 10 game in 3 years, going 4 years.
Yeah.
I finally got a shutout earlier this year with Jack Greaves, and here they got a second one. And we'll talk about the next one here in a bit too, but that's huge for the Blue Jackets because as what we've all been seeing is them getting to the third period, having the lead, and then losing it time and time again. But all the goals were in the third period this game. It was a chess match for the rest of the game. The stats were incredibly even. Shots on goal were 1 apart. Face-offs were pretty even. 0 for 2, 0 for 3 in the power play. Everything's pretty even. But what made the difference was the Blue Jackets being able to keep up in the third period. And not just keep up, but do something pretty unique. Sorry, of course, as soon as I need to speak, I have to yawn. Go figure. Anyway, so a couple of penalties early on, or earlier in the game. I mean, they were kind of shitty. You really got to watch those. Blue Jackets penalty kill has been great though, so they're fortunate to not get scored on for any of those. Dante Fabro with his 4th goal of the year, unassisted. That was, he just kept his cool, kept the energy going, and just kept firing on goal. What I noticed with this game, and we'll talk about the other games too, is that there's more of a sustained attack, and they're not just like having bursting moments, like moments of speed. It's not like they're not trying to play through people, dump and chase and play through people all the time. Dump and chase is totally legitimate way to play, but it wasn't working, and it wasn't sustainable for the entire game because there was constantly, they would just be dumping, and they'd be up the ice. Boom, they're in offensive zone, and the dump gets picked up by the other team and is cleared out. And now at that point, the other team's still on the other side of the ice because he booked it so far down. And now there's a counterattack, and it just saw it a million times. And they would get gassed out from just basically back and forth all night. So less bursts, more sustained. Looked like that was a really good, well-paced game. They're not backing off in the first. They're not backing off in the second. But what I'm noticing is them not having to back off in the third or having to turtle up or anything like that because they have maintained a pace. The foot is on the gas, but it's not to the floor. You know, you keep the foot to the floor, you're going to run out of gas way sooner. And so that's just one thing I noticed with this game. And the second goal here with Matthew Olivier, that was a good heads-up play. This was less of a who could outskill the other team and more of a who will mess up less, who will make fewer mistakes. And at this point, just little mistakes. The Blue Jackets did kind of finesse a nice pass in there to Olivier. And then something super rare. You rarely ever see this. But it happens, and I understand why. I say it all the time. You know, if there's a guy on a breakaway to the goal, sometimes you gotta take that penalty, and hopefully maybe they mess up the penalty shot. But because the goal was empty, the New Jersey goaltender had left the ice. Matthew Olivier was awarded an empty net goal because on his open drive to the net, he was tripped up. Yeah, I think so, right? He was tripped. Anyway, so that's an interesting thing. You just don't see it very often. Generally speaking, you have to kind of let that happen if he's already that far down the ice. But overall, 10 out of 10. Great game, guys. Like, absolute chess match out there. Love to see you bringing it in the third period. Winning it in the third period. The exact opposite of what was happening. So, yeah. And speaking of shutouts.
On to the next game. So, on to the next game. The Blue Jackets get a big win against the Blackhawks. They beat the Blackhawks 4-0. Awesome game. This is also going to be a 10 out of 10. Again, we had, up until this point in time, we had never done a game that was 10 out of 10 because there's usually only at least one thing that we don't like because they give up a goal or do something else that we don't like. That's usually puts it down to at least 9 out of 10. But in this game, there was none of that. This was a 10 out of 10 game, and I'm going to tell you why. So, to start off, the Blue Jackets played a real good first period. They get 2 big goals in the first period. First off, they get a big goal from Zach Werenski. And then they get, later on in the game, they get another big goal from Ivan Provorov. Now, the second, good goal by Zach Werenski. But the second goal was easily preventable for the Blackhawks. Because this is why. So, the Blue Jackets have the puck in their offensive zone, and the Blackhawks had a player who essentially he put a hit on a Blue Jackets player. I think it was Mason Marchment, if I'm right or wrong on that. All right, so we're right on that. Hefty Duck shaking his head. Okay, we're good. Puts a hit on Mason Marchment, and it's one of those things where it's like short-term gain, but in the end, long-term pain because you screwed yourself there. Because what happens is the Mason Marchment has the puck in the Blue Jackets offensive zone, and then a Blackhawks player comes in and puts a big hit on him. And like, cool, you put a big hit on him, but in the end, you screwed the Blackhawks because what happened? Because you put that big hit on Mason Marchment, you ended up screwing the Blackhawks because you put yourself out of position. And because you were out of position, you left Ivan Provorov wide open, and Ivan Provorov shot and scored. Like, if you don't do that hit, that goal doesn't happen because Ivan Provorov would have been covered. But that Blackhawks player made the decision to go for the hit, and it backfired. And, of course, I live in Illinois, so, like, I can't, most of the time I can, pull up my computer and watch the Blue Jackets on my computer. But if they play the Blackhawks, that's one of the few times where I can't do that because I'm in the Blackhawks TV market. So when they play the Blue Jackets, I watch it on TV with the Blackhawks announcers. And I can tell you this, on that second goal that Ivan Provorov scored, the Blackhawks announcers were not very happy with that because they called out the Blackhawks player for that hit. Like, what are you doing? You didn't need to do that. That was not necessary. There's a time and place for that because you essentially put yourself, you made a big hit. Like, I'll give you that. It looked cool, but what in the end, for what was the purpose? For what cost? And the cost was you screwed your team that led to a goal because you were out of position, and because of that hit, you're out of position and you left a guy wide open. And the Blue Jackets capitalized on that. So, like, the Blackhawks announcers were not very happy about that. They ripped on that guy pretty good. But overall, that could have been, and they played, and good chance that could have been 3-0 because towards the end of the first period, the Blue Jackets really turned up the heat and started playing a real good game. And they had a good 3-on-1, and it gets past to Kent Johnson, and Kent Johnson gets stopped. Like, the Blackhawks goalie made a big stop to keep him in the game because realistically that should have been 3-0 after 1. But it wasn't. It was 2-0. But, so then we go, so overall, 10 out of 10 first period for the Blue Jackets. That was awesome. And then we go to the second period. Also another good period for the Blue Jackets. They get a big goal from Denton Heinen. Like I said earlier on in the show, this play happens because Charlie Coyle makes a big play to keep the puck in the offensive zone. The Blackhawks, they try and get it out. They can't get it out because Charlie Coyle picks it off, keeps the puck in the offensive zone, and then the Blackhawks try and take the puck away from him, and they can't do it because Charlie Coyle does a great job protecting the puck. And eventually, Charlie Coyle sees Denton Heinen. He passes the puck to Denton Heinen, and Denton Heinen shoots and scores. 3-0 Blue Jackets. And overall, that was an awesome second period, 10 out of 10. Blue Jackets played a real good game there. And then, in the third period, again, the Blue Jackets played another good period. They get a big goal from Sean Monahan. And honestly, again, I'm calling out the Blackhawks because from my perspective, I think they kind of had a little brain fart moment there because it was like over 5 minutes to go in the game and you pull the goalie and you get scored on. In my opinion, that was way too early to be pulling the goalie there. In my opinion, 3 minutes or less, that's when it's the sweet spot, in my opinion, when you start pulling your goalie, because there's still some time where maybe you were down 3-0 where maybe you could have come back. But that didn't happen. In my opinion, the Blackhawks had a brain fart moment there. They pulled their goalie way too early, and then it backfired. They get scored on, and now you're down 4-0, and essentially that was the game because you essentially screwed yourself there because you can make the case that maybe you could come back with like a little over 5 minutes to go in the game. But when you give up a fourth goal, that's not happening. You screwed yourself there. But in the end, it benefited the Blue Jackets because they get a big goal from Sean Monahan. And then Jet Greaves, he played a good game. He really did. Because there were some good chances there that the Blackhawks had, especially from Connor Bedard. He had some chances there. And Some of them I'm like, okay, we can't keep doing this. Like, get a guy on him. Get a guy on him. Make someone else shoot the puck. But you know what? In the end, it didn't matter that much because you know what? Jet Greaves made some big saves to keep the Blue Jackets in the game and played a real good game, and he gets a shutout. 10 out of 10 third period, and overall, that was a 10 out of 10 game because you get 4 goals, you play a real good game defensively, you get the shutout. Jet Greaves played awesome. Just overall, nicely done. 10 out of 10 game. Nicely done, Blue Jackets. You did an awesome job.
Yeah, it's crazy that we were just talking about this last week about how, like, yeah, they have had some good games recently, but we've never done 10 out of 10. It's really, really hard to do that. And they did that in not only twice in the same season, but back-to-back games with the shutouts too.
Yeah.
Just looking back through this season, when the Blue Jackets have been on the road, but with the back-to-back games, like sometimes you can just tell that they were tired out. Sometimes
Yep.
they were gassed. The whole they spent it all the night before, and what I was just talking about with the last game about the pacing, about the sustainability as opposed to the burst of energy, showed again here. Obviously, I think it was huge that they got the first goal there with Zach Werenski. That was fantastic. Showing everyone why he is on Team USA and why he very likely deserves the Norris Trophy as well. Wild angle, left shot, left dot. That was, I think, kind of unexpected for the goaltender.
Yeah.
It was just a very odd angle, odd way to shoot it, but gotta shoot your shot, man.
Well, that's right.
Yeah, let's talk about that second goal again a little bit here too. Ryan Donato wanted to get a little bit of payback on Mason Marchment, and because just right before that, Mason Marchment had basically dud. It was clean, but he was doing what Mason Marchment does best and getting in their head, and it took him down a little bit. It's the way it goes, and it was almost charging the way that Donato did it because it was like 3 whole steps, like 3 whole pumps straight at Mason Marchment, where the puck was not really he was going off for a line change, supposedly, or whatever. And if he was in his way, whatever. But I can't bitch too much about some cheap shots. I'm a fan of Mason Marchment, but still, Mason took it on the chin, literally barely affected him. It knocked him down because it was unexpected, but he was on his feet within 2 seconds. And what that did was took Donato completely out of the play. Yep. Whereas, if you noticed that Mason Marchment's eyes were on that puck the entire time, even after the hit, he wasn't concerned with Donato. He was concerned with the play that was going on and gave Provorov a wide open shot there. Fantastic. Amazing. Good job on getting in the other team's head and making shit happen. Mason Marchment. That's pretty dope. Because I want to talk about him here in a while too, because we'll get there. But last week we promised we'd talk about some UFAs and trade rumors and all that kind of fun shit coming up, and this is going to be a tough one this year. Anyway, yeah, gets up right away on phase. The third goal was just great positioning by Heinen. He doesn't score a ton. He's got his third goal of the season. Look who's given the assist, but none other than the one and only Charlie Coyle. So, funny that they're working together, still 3-0. I mean, what a hell of a night. Sean Monahan with the empty goal unassisted there at the end of the night, too. That was some good athleticism there, for sure. 0 penalties in the first. Amazing. Got a little bit lucky in the second period. There was 3 penalties in a row that the Blue Jackets had called against them, and luckily they kept them 0 for 3 on the power play. The penalty kill has been going strong. They weren't able to capitalize on their 1 power play. The stats here were very obviously skewed towards the Blue Jackets in faceoffs. They had over 60% of the faceoff wins. That's damn near 2/3. That's huge. In a game like this, that's absolutely huge. Everything else was relatively the same. That was I forgot to do this for the other team. For the New Jersey, that was the game 4 of 4. Jersey has won 2. Blue Jackets have won 2 this year's series. It's going to end tied for the year. This was game 2 of 2 for the Blue Jackets against the Chicago Blackhawks. Obviously, if you watch, they just played them January 30th and beat them 4-2. So 2 for 2 this year against the Blackhawks. The Chicago Bedards cannot pull it off.
No.
But yeah, so we won't see them again. So I don't think there's much to. I mean, let's talk about Jack Greaves a little bit, though. That's his second shutout of the year and of his career. And what's going on in these last 10 games? I mean, I've talked a little bit about the sustainability, a little bit more about the just taking your time, keeping a cool head, and just pacing yourself. Pacing, I think, is huge because Blue Jackets are a relatively young team and have been for a while. And oftentimes you see emotions flare up maybe a little bit more with younger players. It's just, I mean, part of maturing is learning how to control your emotional outbursts. It's totally fine to have them, but you have to keep it under control when it could cost you and like a huge goal. Ryan Donato doesn't do what he did against Mason Marchment. I mean, that could have been that was in the first period. That could have been a non-goal, and maybe they would have gone into the second 1-0 instead of 2-0, and that can just change things. This can change the vibe. It can change the feel and momentum of the game. And so, yeah, love to see it. Before we talk about the UFA stuff, do you have anything more for these games?
Well, I'd say about the Zach Werenski goal because you said left-handed shot on the left side of the ice, and you're right. That's probably not as expected, and that is a harder shot for Zach Werenski. That is a harder shot for him to take, left-handed shot on the left side of the ice, because that's kind of more of an awkward angle for him. So the goalie for the Blackhawks is probably looking at that and thinking, well, he's probably not going to shoot, and if he does, I'm going to get it because that's a harder shot for him. So for Zach Werenski to do what he did is, left-handed shot on the left side of the ice and shoot and score, that was pretty good. It was a similar thing with the Den Heinen goal. It's left-handed shot on the left side of the ice, and like when he gets the puck, it's kind of like on an awkward angle, and it's kind of hard for him to shoot it. So, like, when he got that was awesome. Like, for him to make that shot when it's a kind of an awkward angle and it's left-handed shot on left side of the ice, that was good. Like, that was pretty good. So, like, they had actually, you know what? Three of the 4 goals the Blue Jackets had were hard goals where it was left-handed shot on left side of the ice, because the Ivan Provorov goal was a left-handed shot on the left side of the ice. That was also hard. It was kind of at an awkward angle for him. So like those goals right there, like the Blue Jackets, like they definitely earned that empty net goal of Sean Monahan. But like the first 3, they legitimately really earned those goals because they put in the work, and those are really hard goals to score because 3 of the 4 goals were left-handed shot on left-handed shot on the left side of the ice. It was at a kind of an awkward angle, and it's a harder shot for those guys to make, and they did it. So that was pretty good. The Blue Jackets definitely earned those goals there.
For sure.
But before we get to the free agent stuff, I do want to get Wyan back in here because I just don't want him just sitting here for a little bit. So, Wyan, so if you had to say what your favorite jersey for the Bruins is, what would it be?
That's that's a tough one. I mean, they've had lots of good jerseys over the years. Obviously, they've existed for over 100 years, so that's there's gonna be a lot of jerseys to choose from. But I always loved the like 2016-17 one with the bear on it,
Oh
like the
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
black bear. That's probably my favorite.
that one right there. Or
Yeah,
You don't like the
not
meth
that
bear
one.
one?
or is this the one you like right there?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
Middle.
yeah. I like that one too. That's a good one. That's a good one.
It
I
looks so good. I wish they never went away from it.
yeah, yeah. That's a good one. That. I'm just gonna say it. I like this better than what they currently have for their home. That's just me though.
And you like the other black and or the other Bruin logo?
I this one right here on the top where my mouse is. I like this one better compared to what they have now.
That's interesting. I mean, I like what they have now, but obviously that logo's classic.
Yeah, that's part of it too. And like I just like that there's good like the yellow and the white that kind of helps break things up. It's just a little too much black on the other one for me personally.
Yeah, fair.
Like I like color contrast, and I think this is good color contrast. You know, kind of help break
Yeah.
things. But that's just me. So what? We'll go like maybe top three. What would be like number two line?
Oh God. I mean, probably they're actually I do like that. I do like that Pooh Bear jersey.
Oh,
That
blue. Okay, we're going yellow or white.
yellow.
Okay, so wine I do too. That Pooh Bear. That's great. That is great. I do like that. That is great.
It's just classic. It's
It
like
is.
reminds me of like yeah, like Ray Borg, Joe Thornton, and stuff, people like that.
Oh, that's just great. All right. You know what? We'll push it to five. You
I
can
don't know if I can do 5, bro.
okay. Four? What about four? You
um,
four? You four?
I think 3's good.
Okay, we'll give you one more then. All right, so one more. What would that be?
Yeah, that's probably just like the one you pointed out earlier that you liked.
Okay, so this one right here. That one.
Yeah, you gotta like the
Yeah.
classics too.
Okay. All right. For first, I'll share my favorite Blue Jackets jerseys. Then we'll get to the unrestricted free agent ones. Um, I've always been a much more better fan of like the Reebok version of the home jersey. There's a lot more color to help break up some of the blue, a lot more white, a little more red. You know, I like that better. And the Reebok third jersey, I like that. Again, I like what they did with Reebok did with the away jersey. So that's cool. Um, compared, let's see, compared to it's not as good. What Adidas/Fanatics has done, it's not as good in my opinion. Like this blue needs a little more red and white to kind of help break things up. You know, I do like the Adidas version of what Fanatics, what they did with the third jersey.
Yeah.
I
I
do
like
like
the round collars on the Adidas ones.
yeah, and I do like what they did with the away. I like what Reebok did for the home jersey because there's a little more red and white to help break up some of that blue. That's just me.
I'd have to
And
say
then,
this is probably my favorite too.
yeah. And of course, I did like, the good reverse retro, the black with like the blue. I like that. That was cool. Because it's an actual Blue Jackets jersey. There's actual blue on it. Like someone could tell you this is a Blue Jackets jersey, but yeah, that makes sense. I believe it. I believe it. So there's that. But of course, I mean, the outdoor game jersey. What a banger. What a great jersey. I have two of these. I got a blank one and I have an Adam Fantilli one because you know what? It's just that good.
That one's pretty sick. That's probably top one, then third jersey, Adidas third jersey. Then I mean, I really like that reverse retro with the black on it. Big fan. I mean, that's just cool.
All right. Okay, Wine, we'll get you in here. If you had to pick a Blue Jackets jersey, what would it be?
I do like the Stadium Series ones a lot.
Yeah.
Like those actually might be my favorite.
Yeah. Okay, then we got obviously regular, the third jersey cannon, the away.
Yeah, like honestly, I think any of the Cannon jerseys are just really good.
Yeah, I would agree with that. A lot of people say that they really like the cannon jerseys for the Blue Jackets. So, but I agree. No, that's good and so good. And I can tell you, when I was at the outdoor game, a good chunk of the people there were wearing the outdoor game jersey. It was, including me, but like it was everywhere. Everywhere. And then for the Detroit fans that were there weren't a lot of Detroit fans there, but the ones that were there, like 9 times out of 10, they were just wearing the stereotypical red jersey. Very few people wearing their outdoor game jersey. So that, that kind of tells you something, right? That Detroit fans were not very fond of their outdoor game jersey when most of them were just wearing the stereotypical red jersey.
They knew it was mid.
Yes, they did. They did. I'll say this, though. The Detroit outdoor game jersey they had against the Blue Jackets, it looks better in person. I will give it that. Because when I see the pictures of it, I'm like, that's okay. It's okay. But then when I saw it in person, I'm like, okay, you know what? That's a lot better. It's still kind of meh, average at best, but it's a lot better in person. And then the outdoor game jerseys for the Blue Jackets are already really good, but then when you see them in person, it's like, oh God, this is awesome! Like 100 out of 10. It's just that good. Just so good. All right.
Pretty sick.
All right. So we've had a little talk there. So, I'll ask this before we get to the free agent stuff. Wine, have you ever been to any of the Bruins outdoor games in Boston?
I actually haven't, sadly. I don't know. I guess I was either just too young or like just had stuff going on.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, you know what? They get picked again. Maybe you can do it this time.
yeah, and knowing the league, they'll probably get picked again.
Yeah. Well, not as much as like the Blackhawks who get picked for like the 50th time. So you don't.
It being like 0-6.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing. So. Like every other team, it's like, well, maybe we'll get picked to play in an outdoor game, and the Blackhawks like, well, yeah, you get picked for like the 50th time. Okay, all right, yay. But anyways, maybe one of these times you'll get to do it. Because I can tell you from experience, when the Blue Jackets got to do their outdoor game at Ohio State last year, that was just so awesome. It was just so cool.
Yeah, I was definitely happy for you guys finally getting an outdoor game.
It was just so cool to be at. So fun. A fun, once in a lifetime experience. And over 94,000 plus people were there. It set a record for second highest ever attended hockey game. Just really cool. And like the Ohio State band played music every time the Blue Jackets scored a goal and a lot of other fun stuff. And it was just really cool. And like, my brother is not much of a hockey guy. He'll, if you give him tickets to a game, he'll go, but he's not going to go out of his way to like watch it on TV. But even he, because he was with me at the game, but even he was like, that was awesome. Because it was just that good. It was like really, 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 really cold
Yeah.
out, but that's what you want for an outdoor game. So that's okay. I was kind of freezing my ass off, but you know what? That's okay because I was at an outdoor hockey game and it was awesome. And the Blue Jackets beat Detroit 5-3, which is even better. And it was cool. And I got to experience a once in a lifetime thing that the Blue Jackets are probably not going to get picked to do that again. So that was awesome. So that was cool. So if you ever get the chance to do it for the Bruins, I would say do it.
Yeah, definitely if I can.
So that's that. All right, so we'll get Hefty Duck in here because he wants to talk about the whole, the unrestricted free agents and what the Blue Jackets could do with that and a whole bunch of other stuff. And then shortly after that, I'm going to talk about the Ohio State hockey game that I saw on Saturday night against Minnesota, against the Gophers, and I'll review that game. But until then, we'll get Hefty Duck in here because he wants to talk about what the Blue Jackets might do with some of these unrestricted free agents that they might have.
Yeah, I know we've talked a little bit about earlier in the season when we were looking ahead to see, what the cap was going to look like, the RFAs, the UFAs, what the Blue Jackets were going to be looking at too. Specifically, we were talking more about Adam Fantilli and what kind of offer they were going to, we could imagine them offering him for his, after his entry-level contract is up. And, right now they still have a pretty good amount of cap room. They're not hurting. They have some of the most cap room in the NHL still. It's projected to be $9.96 million. But currently, due to injuries and other sorts of stuff, they currently have a cap space of $28.5 million. So there is money there to re-sign some people if and when needed. But we have to be real about a very strong likelihood of Don Waddell wheeling and dealing a little bit. Obviously, I don't see that he's not going to break up a team. Not the way they've been playing recently and everything like that too. But there's some people they picked up this year that are going to be hard to sign. It's going to be hard to maybe pay them what they're owed. Just in that they also have to come up with some money for Dmitry Voronkov and Kirill Marchenko. They're RFAs in 2 years. But then Cole Sillinger's an RFA, Adam Fantilli RFA, Yegor Zamula. We'll see what happens with that. He's pretty cheap right now, but he's an RFA after this season. But let's get into the UFAs. I'm just going to go down from the order they have them on Puckpedia, and the order they have them in is the order of how much they cost and how much they are getting paid. So the very first one on the list, who is currently wearing an A, Charlie Coyle. He will be an unrestricted free agent after this season. And he has a 10-team that's the next one. He has a no movement clause. He can't be traded or sent to the minors without player approval. And he has a 3-team no trade clause. He is 33 years old. He has just played his 1,000th game in the NHL. He's had quite a few years in the game. 14 years to be exact. 1,006 games played, 204 goals, 323 assists, the plus 51. All around, pretty awesome player. He is currently the second highest paid forward. Far from the highest paid on the team, but the second highest paid forward at the moment. With $5.25 million. That is definitely a contract that if like the Blue Jackets wanted to keep him, they could. Something to keep in mind, he's 33 years old. I don't see giving him a 6-year contract, but I also wouldn't hate seeing like a 3-year contract or something like that. I mean, I don't know. Every player, from what I understand, like every player and agent is going to try to go for the longest, biggest contract they can. I totally don't blame them. But we'll see what happens with the playoffs this year too. If the Blue Jackets have even a little bit of success, we might see a little bit more team friendly deals happening too. I personally, I believe Zach Werenski did a pretty team friendly deal the last time he signed, because I think he's a little bit worth more than what he's getting paid.
Right.
So, what do you think? And we also have Wyan here too to maybe comment on this as well about Charlie Coyle. Is he worth retaining? And if so, is 5.25 fine?
And we'll get Wine in here, because obviously he has some knowledge about Charlie Coyle, being the fact he played for his Bruins, so we'll get him in here.
Yeah, so like you said, obviously you're going to have to take the age factor into effect. Anyone that's over the age of 30 can be a risk to sign long term because of just natural decline. But, I think he's played very well for you guys. So obviously you want to try and keep that around for at least another season, in my opinion.
Yes.
So, if he was willing to sign for 5.25 again, I think that's fine for you guys, honestly.
Yeah. And I agree with that. Realistically, if I'm the Blue Jackets, I'd probably offer, let's say 2 to 4 year deal. And it'd probably be somewhere right around what he's currently getting, probably a little bit more, and just go from there, because he's been a really awesome player for the Blue Jackets this season. He's really stood out. He's really shined. He has just been that good. He's done everything that you possibly could have wanted. He gives you offense. He gives you defense. He gives you power play, penalty killing, face-offs. He's good at that. He blocks shots. He's really good on the third and fourth line. Again, something that the Blue Jackets kind of struggled with last season. But that's not an issue anymore. You don't worry about that, because your third and fourth line is way better now, in part because you have Charlie Coyle. It's one of the strengths that they have for this team. So, and let's call it what it is. He's pretty good veteran leadership that the Blue Jackets have needed. He's provided that. And another thing is, this is also valuable, is that it has allowed the Blue Jackets to just take their time with Adam Fantilli. Take some of that off his plate. So you don't feel like that you have to rush Adam Fantilli. You can let him take your time with him. You don't have to play him all the time. You can put Charlie Coyle out there. You can put Sean Monahan out there. You can put Boone Jenner out there. And then, look, Luca Del Belbaluz, he's one of the top prospects for the Blue Jackets. He's also a center. And you don't have to rush him. If he's not ready, you can afford to have him play down in Cleveland for the Monsters and take your time with him, because you have extra options, Charlie Coyle being one of those extra options. So I like this. I do. So Charlie Coyle is definitely at the top of the list of guys that you need to get done and try your best to find a way to get done. I understand it doesn't always work out like that, Sometimes you can't sign a guy for whatever reason. Sometimes a guy wants too much money and you can't afford that because you got to pay other guys. Or it could be like a guy wants 8-year deal and you only want to give him 4. It happens. But I do believe that the Blue Jackets are really going to try their best to keep Charlie Coyle around, because he deserves it. He's been an awesome player.
Yeah, and he's definitely shown it too, and not to mention having the experience he has. I think that he had been was he with Boston when they won a cup? Why?
No.
Yeah, they didn't win, but they went to the final.
Gotcha. So, but he does have, that's something that a lot of the other Blue Jackets players don't have. There's plenty that have playoff experience, but there's not that many that have making it to the big game experience, even if
Right.
they didn't win. He understands what it takes as a team to get there, and being the alternate captain and everything, it's up to him to show the young guys how to do it. So I would hope to, especially just see how this season ends, but I don't think it's going to be a bad season for Coyle at all. But let's go talk about the next one real quick too. So the next one is one of the other most recent additions to the Blue Jackets. That is Mason Marchment. So after this year, he's going to be a UFA. He has a 10-team no trade clause. So that's a pretty good chunk of teams. That very much narrows your search down. Narrows your possibilities down. Looking at like the recent trade with Artemi Panarin, he only wanted to go to the Kings, and so they had to trade him for a couple sticks and a puck and a tap in the back. Like, good luck, like that. So that can very much sway the want to trade somebody. I would rather just re-sign somebody than be forced into a trade where I'm going to get peanuts in return. Especially with someone like Mason Marchment. So he's 30 years old. He has 14 games with the Blue Jackets so far. That's a small sample size. But in those 14 games, he has 13 points, which is more than he had. I'm sorry, that's exactly the same as he had when he was in Seattle, except he has 9 goals here. He had 4 goals at that point in the season. So he's a +9 for the Blue Jackets, but he's a -4 then too. This is the kind of guy that he's a pest, but also talented. Very much a person that could be a counter to someone like Tom Wilson or Mason or Marchand or something like that. So I'm all for it at $4.5 million. If he were to ask for more, I don't know. I would. There's room for it, but we also have to remember that there's other players here. Now, personally, once we talk about the rest of the UFAs, I'm going to ask, okay, so which one would be the top of the list to go out? So we'll talk about that here in a little while because I don't personally think he's there. But overall, he's done great for the Blue Jackets. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Mason Marchment has been awesome. Because, Don Waddell has said that this is a guy that he's tried to get for years now, going back to when he was working for Carolina, where he'd tried to get him to go play for the Hurricanes. And for whatever reason, he couldn't get it done. So then when he comes to be the GM for the Blue Jackets, you can see why he tried to get him. And eventually he got his wish, and he did get him. And he has been so awesome. Again, everything that you could have wanted. He's big, 6'5", 200+ pounds. He adds a little physicality to his game. And that can get people's attention and sometimes, get them off their game. Obviously, the game against the Blackhawks is the most perfect example of that, where you get a guy hitting him when he shouldn't, and because he hits him, he's out of position, and then the Blue Jackets get a goal off of that because the dude's wide open because the Blackhawks guy is out of position, not guarding his guy. So you get that, so that's good. And he's the dude with the Blue Jackets. He's been Mr. Goal Scorer. It seems just about every game he's played with the Blue Jackets, he's gotten a goal. He's just been so awesome. Obviously, he gets the hat trick against the Lightning, so that was cool. Real good game there that he played. And he's played really good on the first line with Adam Fantilli and Kirill Marchenko. And why that matters is that it has helped balance out the lines for the Blue Jackets. It's given them so much versatility so that they just don't have to rely on one line. They can rely on multiple lines. And it makes it easier for other lines too. Because now you're getting good minutes from your second line, from Boone Jenner, Kent Johnson, and who else is on there? Let's see, Boone Jenner, Kent Johnson, and Sean Monahan. So you're getting it from Sean Monahan, Boone Jenner, and Kent Johnson, getting good minutes there because it's spread out the line. It's spread out the minutes. You evened it out. And then because of that, even the third, your third and fourth line has also been good. So it's helped balance things out. He's just been so good. He's been everything that you could have wanted, because at that point in time when you get him, it was kind of seen as like, well, oh, that's cool. You got a player. He's shown he can be good. We'll just see how it goes. And it's been way better than expected. He's just been so good. He is 30, going to be 31 by the end of the season. So again, no disrespect to you, Mason Marchment, but the thing is that when players start getting up in their 30s, that is something that you do have to consider and have to be careful with a little bit. You can't be in a position where you give them a long-term deal and then it just doesn't work out and then you're stuck with that, because that's what happens as players get older. Doesn't happen sometimes, but sometimes it does. So you do have to be careful with that. But having said all that, I would probably go like a 3 to 5 year deal. 3 to 5 year deal, and probably just about the same type of money that he's making. It's probably going to be just a touch more. Maybe
a tiny bit.
Just a tiny bit more, maybe like another $1 million or $2 million. And then you go from there, because he's just been so good. And
yeah,
he again, he's one of those guys that the Blue Jackets need to try their best to make sure that they keep him with the Blue Jackets, because he's been awesome for the Blue Jackets. He definitely deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, Lion, do you know Mason? Much more? Do you have any opinion on this of how you think he is as a player, and if you would re-sign him?
Yeah, I mean, this is one where I could honestly see both arguments. Obviously, he's played pretty well for you guys, and he's a physical player. I guess he's kind of like Charlie Coyle a bit. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think he's been quite as vital as Coyle, but
No.
he's still been an important piece.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think you could maybe, ask them both, like, what are you looking for in terms of money and years, and also potentially what teams he might be willing to go to, and see if those teams would be willing to give you anything of value. I mean,
Yeah.
because you got to save money somewhere, and if they're willing to give you something good for Mason Marchment, I think I could understand trading him.
Yeah, totally. I do get that.
That's fair.
Especially when we're talking about this next guy, and that is the one and only Captain Boone Jenner, the man that personifies CBJ, even with his initials of Captain Boone Jenner.
Damn.
3.75 million. He has a 8-team no trade list. He has been captain of the Blue Jackets for a little while now. He's a UFA after this year. Looking at his stats, unfortunately, in his past few years, it's just been a fact that Boone Jenner has been on and off the IR. He still manages to be pretty high up on the points list. I mean, he's got a very prominent role for the Blue Jackets. This year, he has 42 games played. The most in the Blue Jackets currently is 56. That's how many games they played total. So 42 of 56 games played, 27 points. He's got 8 goals, 19 assists. He's a +1. A couple penalty minutes thrown in there and whatnot, but all around good player. There's very few times where I'm like, oh, that was a dumb mistake by Boone Jenner, or oh, he lost his cool there, he lost his head, he just wasn't thinking. No, you know what you're gonna get. You know what you're getting with Boone Jenner, day in, day out, unless he's injured. I don't think that this year that would factor into my decision making too much, but it would make me a little hesitant to do a longer term deal for sure, just because it's the way she goes. And I personally, I feel like we saw Nick Foligno get traded out when he was in a similar position too. He was still a very talented player, still is, but he had it was time to move on at that time, and he went on to be a captain of another team too. It's amazing. It's what he was made to do. It's who he is as a person. So I definitely see some more years in Boone Jenner. He is 32 years old. As we've talked about, damn near foot in the grave, man. That's a joke because I turned 35 in like a month. And Kevin turns 34. So we understand when we're like, oh my God, they're in the 30s. They might as well retire now. We just have to be real about it and look at how the trajectory of the NHL. And there are some players out there that can go years and years and like be in their 40s and still doing great. But we have to be real about that. There's a risk involved, and also with someone who has been injured for big parts of seasons in the last few years. So 3.75 mil UFA. Don't compare him to the other people just yet because I have 2 other people to talk about, and then we'll do the comparison. So are you keeping him?
I really want Boone Jenner to be on the Blue Jackets. I really do, because he's Mr. Blue Jacket. He's been there for let's see, 12 seasons now, because he started in 2013. So that's 12 years now.
He's only ever been with the Blue Jackets.
And he's always been with the Blue Jackets, and he's seen it all. He's been through the downs and the ups and everything in between. He knows what it's like to be part of the Blue Jackets. He knows what Columbus and the city of Columbus is like. He has been an awesome ambassador for the Blue Jackets and the city of Columbus, because, over the years, like, you see pictures of him in like the summertime when he's in Canada, because he's Canadian, so he's from Canada, so he's back home in Canada, and like you see pictures of him, and he's got like a Blue Jacket shirt, and he's wearing like an Ohio State hat, like he's being a good ambassador of Columbus, and Boone Jenner is Mr. Blue Jacket. He's been there for everything. He is everything that you could want from a hockey player. He's versatile. He can play center. He can play the wing. He can play up and down the lineup. You need someone with first line, second line minutes, Boone Jenner can do it. You need someone for third line, fourth line minutes, Boone Jenner can do it. You need offense, Boone Jenner can do it. You need defense, Boone Jenner can do it. You need someone to block shots, that's Boone Jenner. He can do it. You need someone for penalty killing, that's Boone Jenner. You need someone for face-offs, that's Boone Jenner. He's really good at face-offs. And then Boone Jenner, from an offensive standpoint, where he really shines, he's really good at right in front of the net. Those dirty, greasy, garbage goals right in front of the net. Either he jams it in, or it's off a rebound, or it's a deflection, or puck bounces off his stick and goes in. He's good at screening the goalie. Like, he's really good at that. Veteran leadership, he's good at that. There are so many things that you like about Boone Jenner, and he's the kind of guy that you want on your team. And realistically, That's a dirt cheap contract. The Blue Jackets have it for that's a steal. They got a steal there. He should be getting more money than that. He isn't, but he should. And I said all these positive things about Boone Jenner. But if there is one guy of this list, I just wonder if this is the end. Because eventually everyone leaves. Eventually your time is done. And you just wonder if that's Boone Jenner. Because eventually the Blue Jackets are going to get to a point to where maybe they don't have room for Boone Jenner anymore. And that's something that you have to consider, is that eventually your time will come. Whether that's now or sometime in the future, I don't know. But eventually everyone's time will come, and you won't be on the Blue Jackets anymore. And again, like we've said time and time again, not just this show, but other shows, it's like, yeah, the Blue Jackets have all that cap space, which is good, and they can use that to their advantage, but you have to be smart with that, because that can go away quickly if you're stupid with your money. And you have to consider that. It's like, how much is Boone Jenner going to cost when you still are going to have to give a new contract to Adam Fantilli, when you're still going to have to give a new contract eventually to Kirill Marchenko and Kent Johnson and Dmitry Voronkov. And you're going to want to try your best to get, Mason Marchman and Charlie Coyle done. So, like, there's only so much money that you have. Someone's going to have to, either take a pay cut, or the Blue Jackets are just going to have to say, we like you very much as a player. Thank you for everything, but the money's just not there. We just can't afford it because we have to pay other guys. So
I think that's a good way to put it, Kevin.
I don't know. If I had to take a guess, that's probably the one that's not with the Blue Jackets anymore. And even though I'm not very fond of that idea, but I get it.
Yeah, I think you said it best, Kevin. I mean, as hard as it is to move on from a character guy like that, I mean, eventually everyone's time does come to an end. Nobody plays forever. And,
Yeah.
for a guy like him, I mean, you said he was how old? 35, 36?
32.
Oh, okay. Well, younger than I thought, but still.
Yeah, still. Yeah. I mean, they had to trade Rick Nash at some point,
Yeah.
They had to trade Nick Foligno at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of, like, Chris Kreider in New York, too. I mean, he was a lifer there, and then, he got up there in age, and they decided to move on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if money is going to be an issue, then unfortunately he probably is the one that has to go.
Yeah. And then if that does happen years from now, you can basically do what Rick Nash did, is that as soon as he was done playing, he got a job working for the Blue Jackets. And, that's essentially what he's done. Is he stopped playing, and now he's working for the Blue Jackets in the front office. So Boone Jenner, if he wanted something like that, that same thing could happen in this hypothetical scenario. If he leaves the Blue Jackets for a bit, and then if he's done playing, he could come back if he wants, because he's that loved.
And yeah, you can do one of those one-day contracts too.
Yeah.
So you can retire a Blue Jacket.
Right. So.
Yeah. So, the next guy, I'm going to talk about the next guy because we're going to come back to the other last guy on the list here. Real quick, let's talk about Eric Branson. The second oldest on the team after Brendan Smith. I mean, he's on the IR. I don't know if he technically counts right now, but so that would put him the oldest on the team. He's 34 years old. He's getting paid $4 million per season. He has a 10-team no trade list. At the time that he was signed. A lot of people were complaining about his contract, thinking it was too high for too long. Well, here we are. We're in the last year of it. And this is another guy who you know what to expect. He also wears an A. This is game in and game out. You know what you're getting with Eric Branson, unless, unfortunately, he's injured. And that has been kind of a running theme this past few seasons as well. And it's not an entire like, oh, I don't want that guy at all. It's just something you have to take in consideration when you have a roster and so many spots open, and you need your starters to be there to start. That's simply it. And he is ranked as one of the top pairs in the entire NHL right now with Matejchuk, I believe.
Yeah.
And they're killing it. I love to see it. I would like to see that continue. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe it was Provorov. In any case, Goodbranson's done great since he's been back. Now, well, he does have quite a bit of experience out there. I mean, he's been in the league for like 14 years. This is his 15th year. Nothing to sneeze at there. But last season, he played 16 games. This season, he has played 14 games so far. 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points. He's a +4. You know, not too. I mean, it's 14 games. It's hard to sample. It's not a great sample size. But yeah, this is another guy too. Ever since he was traded from where did he go from there? From Florida, where he started out on, he kind of has bounced around the league. He's been with the Blue Jackets the most of any other team in the NHL so far. After that was Vancouver for 3 years, Pittsburgh for 2, Calgary, Anaheim, Ottawa, Nashville for 1 or less years. But this is definitely a guy who we were already talking last season a little bit about. I think seeing him getting to see him play a little bit more is adding value to him. 100% adding value to him. And personally, at $4 million, I would hate to see someone like Goodbranson go. At the same time, these last 2 seasons, they have basically played the majority of the games without him. And it's gone okay, especially now that we have someone else out there like Mason Marchment, who is obviously he's not a defenseman. I'm talking more about the toughness of somebody out there. We have the toughest fighter in the league with Matthew Olivier. Goodbranson doesn't have to swing ever. And in fact, in some ways, Goodbranson gets called for these stupid penalties sometimes that aren't even his fault.
Yeah.
He's the big guy. You see, like, he's just going to knock you down. He can almost just like step over half these guys out there. He's big. So personally, man, I see, like, if I was Don Waddell, he's a fresh face to the the business here as well. Waddell is somewhat too. This was not the guy that he hired, but Waddell tends to like big size and everything. But I would not be surprised to see what I think what I would try to do with this is maybe get a couple draft picks to use as bartering chips in another trade and try to like level up that trade with Goodbranson. I don't think the return is really there. Unfortunately. Fantastic player. He's good overall player. He could be a great addition to a team that's on the fringe of the playoffs or trying to make a deep run or something like that. But at the same time, the Blue Jackets are trying to get there. So if there's a team selling, I think Eric Branson is the price to pay for buying. It's one of the prices to pay. And I like the dude. I like the dude a lot. I think he's a great player, great addition to the team's business. It's just a business decision.
Yeah.
What do y'all think?
I would say, again, Eric Branson has been everything that you could have wanted, because you look at the Blue Jackets defensively, they just don't have a lot of guys that have that toughness, that grit, that attitude that you need on defense. It's okay to have, more of those, kind of more puck-moving defensemen, some smaller guys that maybe don't have a quite as physicality to the game. Like they can do it, but it's not exactly who they are. But that's so you need something to help back some of that stuff up to kind of balance it out. And that's Eric Branson. It just is. Him and Provorov are really kind of like the real two big really physical guys that they have. And like Zach Werenski, the dude's like 6'2", 200 plus pounds. So like he's a big guy too. And he does some hits, but like that's not really who he is. He's really good on defense, but he does it in a more different way, generally speaking. So like you do need someone that can bring that big, physical, kind of grinded out attitude game with a little grit. And that's Eric Branson because he's 6'5", 220. You notice when he's on the ice, no one's screwing with the Blue Jackets because no one wants to screw with a guy that's 6'5", 220. So there's that. And another thing that Eric Branson provides is that because he's so big and physical, he's able to use his size to his advantage where he's a good guy to help clear out the net. You notice that ever since he's been back, that generally speaking, the Blue Jackets haven't been getting scored on right in front of the net because Branson's there to help get rid of that. And he blocks shots. Big, physical, able to just grind it out. And if there's a big defensive matchup, he's there to help put a stop to it. You need someone, you pull the goalie. You need someone to help stop that. Eric Branson's out there. Good veteran leadership. And again, why I like him is that it goes back to what I said with Luca Del Belbaluz, is that the Blue Jackets do have some good defenseman prospects. They have a Stanislav Sposal and a Corson Kuhlmans and a Luca Morelli. They got other guys as well that will be an important part of the Blue Jackets defense eventually, but those guys aren't ready yet. So, because you have a guy like an Eric Branson, it allows you to take your time with your defenseman prospects and allow them to play their game down in the minors and not rush them so that when they are ready, they're going to be ready because you didn't have to bring them up when they're not ready. So having Eric Branson helps out with that. Good leadership. Let's be honest here. Eric Branson is a big reason why Johnny Gaudreau ever played with the Blue Jackets to begin with. Because in that famous Behind the Battle video that the Blue Jackets did in the summer of 2022, the big news up until that point, of that day was, hey, we went out and we got Eric Branson. And that was a big move for the Blue Jackets because they really needed help on defense. So they went out and got one of the best defensemen in free agency that year, which was Eric Branson. So that was a big move for the Blue Jackets. And they have a press conference about it. And, it's awesome. Oh, yeah, big news of the day. The Blue Jackets get Eric Branson. And that was cool. And then the press conference is over. Everyone from the Columbus media and everyone else goes home for the day. And you see it in this video. It's Jarmo Kekalainen and John Davidson and Rick Nash and other people within the Blue Jackets front office. They're sitting at a table in a room, and Rick Nash comes into the room and says, hey, I just got done talking. I'm paraphrasing it, but it's like, I just got done talking to Eric Branson, and he says that Johnny Gaudreau wants to come play here. And that caught them off guard and shocked, like, wait, what? Johnny Gaudreau wants to play for the Blue Jackets? And that left them scrambling because they're like, what do we do? What do we do? Because you're not expecting that. And obviously they see it in the video where they call Johnny Gaudreau's agent to see if this is actually a thing. And it turned out, yeah, it was a thing. And they got the deal done, and Johnny Gaudreau played for the Blue Jackets, one of the best moments in Blue Jackets history. You get a guy like Johnny Gaudreau to come play for your team, and Eric Branson is a big reason for why that happened. So, I like that. There's just so many reasons to like Eric Branson. And like Eric Branson, he doesn't give you much offense. He just doesn't. He's more of a defensive defenseman. But when he does give you offense, it's just slap shot from the point, and I'm just going to blow it right past you. No chance. He's done that multiple times with the Blue Jackets. When he scores a goal, it's just slap shot. I'm going to blow it right past you. You have no chance. So, again, Eric Branson's a guy that I really like having on the Blue Jackets, and I'd have a hard time giving that up. But we also have to consider that, there is a possibility that this could be Eric Branson's last year because he's getting up there in age. That is something to consider.
The injuries are piling up.
That is another thing to consider. How much is he going to cost? That's another thing. So if I had to try and sign Eric Branson, I'd probably do like a 1 to 3 year deal at maybe just slightly more money and then just go from there. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone after this season, but I really hope that doesn't happen because I like having him on the team.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask me, I think this is probably the guy you can move on from with the least amount of guilt. I mean,
Yeah.
just, like you said, Lance, he's only played like 30 games the last 2 seasons. So, like, how much is that really going to be worth in the long term?
Yeah.
So, like, availability is the best ability. And
That's true.
Definitely. We learned that with Patrick Laine for sure. Now Montreal is too.
yeah.
Ivan Provorov, the dude doesn't miss a game. He takes a big hit, you're like, oh God, that's gotta hurt. He's gonna be out for a bit, and it's like, nope, he's back the next game.
Yeah, like
one game in the last 2 seasons, I think.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, for good Branson, like I'd maybe ask if he'd be willing to take like 7th defenseman money to keep him around, but if he's not, then I don't think you feel too bad about letting him go personally.
No.
Yeah, same. So speaking of what you might call a little guilt-free too, sometimes when you bring on a guy that first year, you can move on from him a little quicker too. Now, we haven't really seen too much out of this guy yet. Once again, a very new addition to the Blue Jackets so far this year. He was traded from Pittsburgh as well. He came over with the deal with Yegor Chinikov and as Danton Heinen.
Yeah.
Currently, he's 30 years old, 2.25 mil cap hit, UFA at the end of this season. He has a 12-team no-trade list. He has 13 games played for the Blue Jackets this season, 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. He is listed as a left wing / center. He was with Pittsburgh for a little bit. He played 28. He only played 28 games for him last year, so I'm not sure if he was just injured or what was going on. Oh, he split it with Vancouver. Never mind. I'm looking at this now. He keeps getting just thrown around the league. He started out in Boston. He played his first 3 seasons with them. Played a partial season with Boston, and was traded to Anaheim, traded to Pitt, traded back to Boston, traded to Vancouver, traded back to Pittsburgh, then eventually traded to the Blue Jackets. So I feel like this was an addition that Waddell picked up specifically for a trade piece. It's a low risk trade for the Blue Jackets, and I think it's a low risk take on from someone else. Unfortunately, I don't think that he's got 12-team no trade list. That's a pretty good chunk of that leaves 20 teams to wheel and deal with, which is plenty. Especially if you're trying to wheel and deal with someone who's way above the cap. I'll talk about this in just a second. Dan, we're talking a lot about this tonight. I'm sorry for going over so much with this because I'm gonna have to cut it a little shorter tonight. I personally, if we see him go, see him walk, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's business.
I
Yeah,
it's kind of a small sample size, but I've really liked what I've seen from Danton Heinen. He's been a
Yeah,
good
same.
third line, fourth line guy for the Blue Jackets, and even in those 2 games when Komarchenko didn't play because he was sick, so he got bumped up to that first line, and he had some good minutes there as well, and I like that. Um, Mostly been a good third line, fourth line guy for the Blue Jackets, and he's gotten some goals there as well. I like him. If he was on the Blue Jackets again, I'd be okay with that. But if he wasn't on there, I'd be okay with that too. It is what it is.
Yeah.
yeah. The thing with Danton Heinen is he's a very good Swiss Army knife type of player,
Yes.
but he's never going to be like a top 6 scorer kind of guy. His scoring can be inconsistent at times. So I mean, it really depends on how much a team values what he does off the puck mostly.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And that might be a good fit for someone out there too who has a lot of
Yeah, I think the contenders would definitely
yeah.
pay for him.
Because if you already have that firepower out there and you're just looking for that guy with a little bit more experience, he's 30 years old, who's been around the league a bit, used to playing with different people all the time, that might not be a bad pickup.
Yeah, and you said for that cap hit too. Yeah, that's going to be
Low cap.
appealing.
And it's only 1 year, so like the Blue Jackets could feasibly like have that, and they have plenty of cap space, so if they had to retain something, they could. I doubt that they would, but if they had to, so I'm not going to talk about Brendan Smith right now. He's 37 years old. He's on the IR long. I think he might be out like the rest of the season. He exploded his kneecap or some wild shit. So he's still listed on the roster on Puckpedia, but he is more of a Cleveland monster. As far
Yeah, I'm
as
gonna be honest. I didn't know he was on the Blue Jackets.
yeah, right. He hasn't. I don't know.
When given the chance to play, he's been real good with the Blue Jackets. Good veteran leadership and a guy you can count on to play every game. And he's a big physical guy, block shots, a little steadiness there. He's been good.
15 games.
He was playing a good
Yeah,
game.
he's another good Branson type to me.
Yep, he's another Gabranson type, playing a real good game for the Blue Jackets. It's his unfortunate thing. I still, if he doesn't get hurt, I still think he's playing right now for the Blue Jackets because it was that good. But because he gets hurt, that's the end of that. So again, if he isn't on the Blue Jackets, I'm okay with that. But if he was, I'd be okay with that as well.
Yeah, same here. Like I said, I don't think that's even like meant necessarily anyone to consider, like absolutely zero offense meant to Brendan Smith and his skill. It's he's got a 2-way contract at $800,000, so why not? So now we have our list. We have Charlie Coyle, we have Mason Marchment, we have Boone Jenner, we have Danton Heinen, and we have Eric Goodbranson. So we have 5 players here. I personally think that we're going to see two of these players go, at least 2 of them. And I think we've already kind of talked about which are the most likely. Top of the list of value of all of these guys, top of the list in value, we're looking at probably Mason Marchment.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at Charlie Coyle. Well, Charlie Coyle first probably, and then Mason Marchment, and then Boone Jenner, and then Goodbranson, and then Heinen, I would imagine. Just ranking them as value.
Yeah.
Now, that could come into play because no one wants to give you something like a Terry Panarin trade for a bundle of sticks is not going to come around for like that hardly ever.
Yeah.
You get Johnny Gaudreau on a signing, no trade. That is so rare. So you might have to give up one of the better guys like a Boone Jenner or something like that. So out of all those 3, who are you picking?
All right.
Who's staying? Only 3 can stay. 2 have to go.
All right. I am picking. So my picks, you got to keep Charlie Coyle, got to keep Mason Marchment. Erica Branson.
Yeah, because if you get rid of Goodbranson, you're going to need a defenseman back.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's going to be harder to trade for, I think, than a forward.
Yes. And again, like I said earlier on in the show, other than like Ivan Provorov, maybe Zach Werenski, maybe Damon Severson, you really don't have guys that can play that big physical, grinded out style game that you desperately need on your defense. A guy that can help clear the front of the net. That's Eric, the block shots and just toughness and grit and attitude. That's Erica Branson. And you get rid of that and you just made your defense worse. And I just can't get behind that. So if I had to pick three guys, my three guys that I'm picking are Charlie Coyle, Mason Marchment, and Eric Gabranson.
Yeah, I personally I would agree with that as well, just because like I said, just trading for a defenseman of a similar caliber of Goodbranson is going to be hard by trading Goodbranson.
Mm-hmm.
Throw him a 2-year deal with at 4.5 mil or something like that. What do you think, Ryan?
So I think for me personally, maybe I would keep Heinen over Goodbranson. Maybe I'm just delusional about
A little younger.
yeah, maybe I'm just delusional about how easy it would be to replace Goodbranson, but I feel like you could maybe find someone like that in free agency that could do what he does.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah, and Heinen has experience with Coyle too, so
that is true.
If that ends up being a good chemistry fit, then you might have something there.
Yeah, that's true.
No, it's really really glad you were able to join us today, because that's you saw those guys play at some point too. And I don't know very much about Danton Heinen, other than what I've seen him play, and then what I've done a little bit of research on. So, I think that kind of concludes our UFA talk. I think we'll have a little bit more time next week to talk about RFAs as well. We have earlier in the season, but now we're at the halfway point. We're at the break. Let's revisit it, because that was early on. We talked about Fantilli and Greaves, and now we've seen them how they're playing this year, and now we have a little bit more to go on.
Right.
So on to the next thing.
Yes. So, because, well, on our normal shows, there's usually at least, 3 games a week that we can talk about the Blue Jackets and other stuff going on that fills up a good chunk of the show, and then I don't have to go scrambling trying to find stuff to fill time. But today is not one of those days, because the Blue Jackets only played 2 games. So then it kind of left me scrambling and oh, crap. Well, what am I going to talk about? Because we got to talk about something. We got time to fill here for the show, because just talking about just 2 games that the Blue Jackets have played, which were good games, but that's still not good enough. We need other stuff to talk about. And so this past Saturday, Ohio State hockey had a game against Minnesota in Minnesota against the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and the game was on the Big Ten Network. So because there's really nothing else to watch on TV right now, no Blue Jackets, I like Ohio State, so I guess I'll watch their hockey team play on the Big Ten Network. And so I'm going to do a little review of that game and just kind of share my thoughts on that game. So, and I made a little graphic for the game, There's the 2 mascots for both Ohio State and the Gophers, Brutus and the Gopher. for the Gophers. So there you go. And, Ohio State hockey game review. So,
The name of the gopher, sorry to interrupt you, is Goldie Gopher.
Goldie Gopher. How about that? I like that.
I like it a lot.
Goldie Gopher. Yeah, I like that because it fits with your theme. You're called the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and you're calling your gopher Goldie. I like that. I
love it. That's awesome.
But anyways, so first period, honestly, Ohio State played a real good game there. They played a really good defense and didn't really give the Gophers much to shoot at. It was just awesome to watch. Defensive clinic by Ohio State. And eventually, Ohio State does get a goal. And it was an awesome goal. And I have a clip from that goal that I'm going to share. Is Ohio State has a good shift in the offensive zone. And then the Ohio State player, I think is Max Montez, number 16. He is a left-handed shot on the right side of the ice. He has an awesome opportunity to score. And he makes it look like that he's going to score. So, like, the Minnesota defense just kind of goes towards him. Everyone is towards the lower part of the ice. And at the last moment, Montez quickly passes it back up high. And because everyone is down low, no one is up high. And so the Ohio State player who gets it, he's wide open all by himself, and he shoots and scores. Awesome play. That was really the only thing and then, hey, Ohio State played real good defensively after that. They're up 1-0, so it was a good play. Good period there. Now, the second period, it was, not very good for Ohio State in that period. It just wasn't. You just stopped playing. All that momentum that you had in the first period, for whatever reason, you just decided to stop playing because all that momentum that you had was gone. And Minnesota was playing way better, more shots on goal, much more time in their offensive zone. And this is where you can see a team like Minnesota, who is one of the big dogs in college hockey, a team who's historically good and has a lot of history and has national championships and Big Ten championships and NCAA tournament appearances again and again and again, and Frozen Four appearances again and again and again, and how they're able to just produce top-tier elite talent again and again and again. You could see that. That was starting to take over the game for the Gophers. Ohio State had no answer for that. And eventually, Minnesota was able to use some of that top elite talent to get a goal. So Minnesota has a good shift in the offensive zone. They're putting the pressure on. A couple shots. Ohio State stops it. And then this is where the issue comes into play. Ohio State has multiple chances to get the puck out. And they don't get the puck out. And then terrible play defensively. They get caught puck watching. They're just standing there looking at the puck for whatever reason. And I'll show this in the clip too, because I got the clip of the Gophers goal. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but there's 4 guys on one guy. And they're just standing there looking at the puck watching. And because of that, you leave a guy wide open, and then the Gophers shoot and score. And it's not only that you left a guy open, you left their best player wide open. Thing is that Brody Lamb, who is a shooter. This guy can shoot it. He had earlier on in the game, he had multiple chances to score where the way he was playing, he at least could have had 2-3 goals. It was that good. But this time he did get the goal. So it's bad enough that you had 4 guys on one guy. You're puck watching, and it's bad enough that you left a guy wide open. But what makes it worse is you left their best shooter wide open. You can't do that. And he shoots and scores. And they showed it up on the screen that the last 7 games for Lamb, he has 5 goals in 7 games. Just, he's ridiculously good. So that was a bad idea for Ohio State to do that. But they did it anyways, and it cost them. We get to the third period, and it's basically what Ohio State did in the first period. They just locked it down defensively, played a real good game, and they did, for the most part, didn't really give the Gophers much to shoot at. And then when Ohio State had a chance to put it away, they did. They get a big goal. It's 2-1. And essentially that was the end of that because the Gophers, they didn't really have much to shoot at after that because Ohio State was playing real good defense. So in the end, it worked out, and Ohio State played a real good game, 9 out of 10. So nicely done, Ohio State. And another thing to consider here is this: what Ohio State just did is very, very rare. You went up to one of the big dogs in college hockey, Minnesota, and not only did you beat them, but you beat them in Minnesota. That rarely happens. That rarely happens. And, you know, we got to be honest with ourselves here. Historically, Ohio State's not very good at hockey. They're average at best, and they, you know, don't get the top guys to come to their school. They don't get a Johnny Gaudreau type of a talent. They don't get a Zach Werenski type of a talent. They don't get a Jonathan Toews or a Patrick Kane or a Dylan Larkin or a Jack Eichel or a Zach Werenski or Adam Fantilli type of talent that come to their school. But you find those types of talents at schools like Minnesota or Michigan or Wisconsin, Michigan State, Boston College, you know, schools like that. So for Ohio State to go up to Minnesota and beat one of the big dogs in college hockey, when that really doesn't happen, when you're not playing on a level playing field, you're not even close to being on Minnesota's level, and you still find a way to beat them, is very impressive. That is a program builder. That's something you can build on. So much positive energy and momentum that you can get from that when you beat a team that is way better than you, and realistically, you probably shouldn't have beaten them. You know, I just wonder if Minnesota just took Ohio State for granted. I just wonder if they just looked at the schedule and said, it's Ohio State. It's okay. We got this. Easy game. We can beat them. We don't have to worry about them. And then maybe they just took them for granted because that's what it looked like. Ohio State was playing a real good game and not really giving much to shoot at, but at the same time, there just wasn't as much spunk or, attitude, a little grit, barely any hard work. I just wonder if the Gophers just took Ohio State for granted because there were moments in that game where the Gophers looked really good and they were outworking Ohio State. And when they did that, their talent shined. It took over the game, and Ohio State had no answer for it because they don't have that same type of talent historically that Minnesota gets. But then there's times that they just weren't there, and I just wonder if they took Ohio State for granted. Because if they don't, they play the way that they were for good chunks of that game. They win that game, but they didn't. It was just kind of there. So I just wonder if they took them for granted, thinking, it's okay. It's Ohio State. We can beat them. We can beat them. Easy game. When you can't do that. That's a no-no because hockey's a very competitive game and anyone can beat anyone on any given night. So overall, pretty good game there, Ohio State. 9 out of 10. Nicely done.
Yeah, good job, Ohio State. Yeah, I mean, that's I had something to say, man, and it just went right out my head.
Oh, come on now.
No clue. I was literally right in the middle of saying it, and it's gone. Oh, yeah, you were talking about how they were taking them for granted. That can very well be it.
Yeah.
In any league, that's true. It doesn't matter from the very highest league of the NHL to Pee Wee leagues.
Yeah.
It can happen any night.
All right. So I'm going to play the two goals now. From one is an Ohio State goal, one is a Gophers goal. Well, actually, no. We'll play this first. We'll put this up on the screen. Another thing that I do like about this game is that it was a color rush game. Minnesota was wearing yellow, mostly yellow jersey with the little white and red shoulders, but it was basically a yellow jersey, and Ohio State was wearing red. And on the ice, when watching this game, it was awesome. It was awesome color rush matchup. I love this, and this needs to happen more in hockey. It was just awesome.
That's pretty cool.
I got another shot of this because I took a shot of this during the game. But look at this. This is awesome. Look at this. Awesome color rush. You got red versus yellow, and I love this.
That's pretty cool.
And
I like that a
Hefty
lot.
Duck and I, we've reviewed this jersey before. We talked about this on the show before. But the Gophers, I really like their jerseys, but especially the yellow one. It's got an old school looking gopher on it with the hockey stick. It's yellow and like red stripes outlined in white with red shoulders, red pants, and the socks are red outlined in white on yellow socks. Like, I just love it, and this is my favorite Gophers jersey. So like, thank you, Gophers, for wearing the good hockey jersey. Like, I mean, they're all good, but like this one is like really good. So like, thank you for wearing the yellow one, and thank you for doing the color rush here. I just love it. I love Ohio State wearing the red versus Minnesota wearing the yellow. Just looks awesome. I want to see more of this in hockey.
That is pretty cool. The colors themselves don't really go well together, but the fact that it is a color rush is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's just you know, the maroon and gold is just not the scarlet and gray.
Oh,
It's weird. That's pretty cool.
I like it. So there's that. So we have a couple more things to get taught. Well, I got to show the goals here, and then a couple things after that. Then we'll get going here. So first things first, we're going to show one of the goals, the first goal that Ohio State scored. So let's see. Okay, it is on the screen. Just needed to check that. So Ohio State has a good shift in the offensive zone. Got puck up high. And then we'll back this up just a little bit. So this guy right here has the puck along the boards, and he's going to make a nice backhand pass to 16 in red. And look at this. He's got a good shooting opportunity. He could score from here. Left-handed shot on the right side of the ice. And you see that. The Gophers defense, they're drawn to him. They're all going down low, to the low, down low. And they're forgetting what's going on up high. They're leaving this guy, 28, up high open. And so 16 in red sees that. And at the last moment, he's going to do a pass, and he's open. 28 in red. Boom. Shoot. Score. Awesome play. And it's all set up by an awesome pass by 16 and draw the defenders down low to get the pass up high to 28 in red. So overall, pretty good goal here. So Hefty Duck, what you thinking here?
That's pretty solid. It's good to keep the head up and look for the pass. I mean, he saw that the defense was obviously shutting down in front of the goal, so it's a good call.
Yep. So,
One shot, one goal.
and that, efficient. That's the way to get the job done. Efficient. One shot, one goal. So we'll play this one more time, and then we'll get to the Gophers' goal. So pretty good goal here for Ohio State. Another thing I do like here, I like the scoreboard. It's good color contrast. You got Ohio State in the red, and you got the Gophers in the yellow. I like that. I like that. Now, okay. Now we're going to play the goal that the Gophers scored, and this is what I mean. How there's 4 guys on one guy that eventually costs Ohio State a goal. So we're going to put that up on the screen. So here we go. Minnesota has a good shift in the offensive zone. And so he tries passing to a guy. This is the guy who scores the goal, 74, who's their shooter, Lamb. And look, what are we doing here? 4 guys on one guy. You try getting it out, you can't get it out. But then you get 4 guys on one guy, and this is what's going to cost you. Because he tries shooting it, he doesn't get it. And then 4 guys on one guy. No, the goal score is going to be right there. That's Lamb, not 74. But 4 guys on one guy, you're puck watching, you're just standing there. You're like, what are you doing here? And then this is going to be the guy that scores the goal for the Gophers, Lamb, and gets it to him. And look, he's wide open. Hello? Like, what are you doing here? This does not happen if you don't have 4 guys puck watching on one guy. If you don't do that, this does not happen, and then he's not wide open, the best shooter on the Gophers, and he doesn't score. But because it's 4 guys on one guy, and you're puck watching, just standing there, you had a brain fart moment, you leave a guy wide open, one of the best shooters on the Gophers, and he shoots and scores. You can't do that. It is just not good. Needs to be better on that play from Ohio State. And if I'm the coach of Ohio State, when we do a little film review for next week, and look at, I'll back this up. Like, you see that? You see that? Wow, look, Ohio State coach right there. He's shaking his head because he knows that was stupid, that was a bad goal to give up. He knows, shaking his head there. But if I'm Ohio State's coach next week at practice, we're gonna pull them off to the side, and I'm showing the film, and I'm saying, okay, we're not doing that again. That was stupid to have 4 guys on one guy, and because you do that, one of the best shooters on the Gophers is wide open. Like, you can't do that. So that needed to be better. And that was really only the only bad mistake that Ohio State had all game, was that dumb mistake there, having 4 guys on one guy and leaving one of the best shooters on the Gophers wide open. So that's my thoughts on that. Hefty Duck, your thoughts on this goal?
No, it's a pretty good play there by Minnesota, for sure. Sorry, I'm kind of rewatching it one more time.
Well, 4 guys on one guy.
Yeah, they totally collapse. We kind of seen the Blue Jackets do that a lot, but
4 guys on one guy, and then you leave a guy wide open.
Yeah, I think they thought because that one guy was going for a line change, it wasn't as big of a deal. But they have to remember the guy going for a line change was going to just be at the top of the zone anyway.
Yeah. There's no.
It's a good job breaking breaking up the pass, but
Yeah.
they get way too focused, way too puck chasey there.
Yeah. You're puck watching. You can't do that.
Mhm.
You just can't. And again, and they'll show it. But again, look, Ohio State's coach, he's shaking his head there like he knows that was a bad goal to give up. So
Yeah.
that needs to be better. So, but in the end, it didn't really matter as much because Ohio State won. But, still needs to be better. So, a couple more quick little things here, and then we'll get out of here. So, first off, I'm going to share a little video. I saw this on TikTok of course, the Blue Jackets were in New Jersey playing the Devils. And a woman at the game was wearing a Michigan jersey and got the attention of Adam Fantilli, who played for Michigan, and got a picture with Adam Fantilli. So we're going to play that video. It's a little fun video. Ooh, I'll back this up here. I'm going to share it. Okay, and we'll play the video, and here we go. So there's the woman at the game, and she's in a Michigan jersey, got Adam Fantilli's attention, and got a picture with him. So that's cool, And there's the picture right there. So that's cool. So I think this is cool, That was a good way to get Adam Fantilli's attention. You wear something Michigan, and then he's, hey, can I have a picture? And he's like, yeah, he's probably, oh, sweet, another Michigan fan. So that's what, taking a picture with her. So that was cool. So anything to say here, Hefty Doc?
No, not really.
All right, then. So a couple more little things here. Shout out to Rick Nash, as he's recently been named the director of player personnel / development for the Blue Jackets. You've been looking at Rick Nash. He's been working for the Blue Jackets for a couple years now, and he keeps getting promoted. And he's kind of started out as more like an assistant to the GM, kind of like an ambassador sort of thing. And then he still does this, but a lot of times they'd send Rick Nash to go do some scouting, to check in on some of the Blue Jackets prospects, see what's going on, watch their games, talk to them after the game. How you doing? Anything we can do for you? This is what we want for you. When you do get to the Blue Jackets, this is what we want, that sort of stuff. And as it's gone on, he's got more and more responsibilities, done an awesome job with it, and now he gets director of player personnel and player development. So that is cool. So shout out to you, Rick Nash. Good on you for doing that. Also, Chris Clark is now assistant general manager for the Blue Jackets. He's been doing a lot of stuff with the Monsters down in Cleveland, being their general manager, and figure some of that, trying to build up the Monsters and anything going on with the Monsters. He does that, but now he's, along with his Monsters job, he's going to be the assistant general manager for the Blue Jackets. So that's cool. So shout out to Chris Clark and Rick Nash for their new jobs with the Blue Jackets.
Oh yeah, stepping up.
He is stepping up. We'll got this. Just have some quick thoughts about this, and Hefty Duck can say something about this if he wants to as well. Recently, we have Quinn. I'm not going to try and say that name. Quinn
Kuntz.
Kuntz
We got it. Yeah.
Sorry, no disrespect to you. I'm just not going to try. So, but anyways, Quinn is a hockey expert, an analyst on Big Ten Network, and recently made a list of some of her favorite places to go for hockey games. And Ohio State only made one. There's on the left side of the list, it's the men, and on the right side of the list, it's the women. And Ohio State only made one side of the list, and that is the women, which I can understand. Ohio State women's hockey team has played in 4 national championships, winning 2 of them. So I could see why that could be a good game to see. Ohio State women's hockey, even though it's an embarrassing peewee rink that they deserve better. They shouldn't be playing in that, but that's besides the point. So I could see why Ohio State makes the women's side of this list, as well as Wisconsin and Minnesota also made the women's list. For the men, for the Big Ten, it was the Minnesota. So the Gophers made it, Penn State and Michigan State. You could also make the argument to throw Michigan in there because they also have a good, awesome hockey environment, something I wish Ohio State had. But I get why Ohio State does not make the men's side of this list because let's be honest here, the shot is god-awful and not made for hockey. I've been to 3 Ohio State hockey games at the Shot. The hockey games themselves are fun, but being in the Shot is god-awful because the Shot is not made for hockey. It's more made for basketball, and you can tell because the dimensions and the sight lines are just, it just doesn't work. I can still remember this. The last time I was at an Ohio State hockey game, it was the day before the Blue Jackets outdoor game. And the sight lines were goofy. Like I couldn't just sit straight like this. For a good chunk of the game, I kind of had to sit like this, where I'm kind of turned just to the left, just so that I could see it because the sight lines were kind of goofy. That's just how it was for a good chunk of the game. So I get it why the Shot would be a top, hockey road trip destination for the Big Ten. I get it. It's not very good, and that's the unfortunate reality for Ohio State. Ohio State needs to be better in that regard. They need better hockey facilities. They just do because both the men and the women deserve it, and it would help Ohio State be more competitive in the Big Ten against other schools who are traditionally better at hockey compared to Ohio State historically. Also, we got to be honest with ourselves here. If you are in Columbus and you want a hockey game, you're picking the Blue Jackets. That's just how it is. You're not picking Ohio State. You're just not. Because it's going to be a way better experience, more bang for your buck, much more competitive, way better game, and you're seeing top studs. You're going to see, maybe Pittsburgh's in town and Sidney Crosby's there. Or the Capitals are in town and you see Alex Ovechkin. Minnesota's in town and you see Kirill Kaprizov. The Flyers are in town and you see Travis Konechny. And for the Blue Jackets, you're going to see a Zach Werenski. You're going to see an Adam Fantilli. You're going to see a Kirill Marchenko. You're going to see, a Boone Jenner, a Jet Greaves. You're a lot better than going to some Ohio State game that realistically, guys that you probably haven't heard of and more likely than not are probably not going to be playing hockey after they're done at Ohio State, generally speaking, because that's just what Ohio State just does. Generally speaking, they just don't produce top talent. They just don't. It would be cool if they did, like, Minnesota and Wisconsin and Michigan and other Big Ten schools, but they just don't. So I get it. I get why Ohio State did not make the men's side of the list. Because if you're in Columbus, you want a hockey game, you're picking the Blue Jackets, not Ohio State. So that's what I'm going to say about that. Hefty Duck, do you have anything to say?
No, not at the moment.
All right, then. So I'll put that off on the screen. I'm going to quickly check if I have anything else to share. Let's see. I'm going to quickly check the bookmarks here. You know what? We'll put this up on the screen here. And again, Color Rush, Ohio State basketball played Michigan, and red versus yellow, and I love it. This was just cool. So, anything to say, Hefty Duck?
No.
All right, then. Well, like one or two more things here. Let's see here. I thought this I saw this comment on Reddit, and it perfectly describes Columbus. I just love it. It says, it's actually a fantastic place when you can get people to stop fellatiating themselves over OSU football. Atmosphere at hockey and soccer games are always amazing, and that's true. It's a perfect way to describe Columbus. Columbus is a great place to be. Blue Jackets games are awesome. Crew games are awesome. And yes, we all like Ohio State, but there's many people that take their obsession with Ohio State way too far. So this comment on Reddit is a perfect representation of how to describe Columbus, and I love it. So, anything to say, Hefty Duck, or no?
No comment.
All right, then. One more time, I'm going to quickly check my bookmarks to see if I have anything else to share for the day. No. Got nothing else to share. Well, nothing other stuff to really talk about. So we'll share our final stuff, and then we'll get out of here. So we'll get Hefty Duck in here. He can share his stuff. I'll share mine, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, thanks for watching the Brew Jackets. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share wherever you're watching from. If you're watching on Twitter, I posted the YouTube link earlier. Check us out on YouTube. We are growing that here steadily. But yeah, so we don't have any sponsors. We don't have any ad reads because I don't like to do them. I am basically the show sponsor. So if you want to support us, check me out on Instagram at Landstrock Tattoos. But just liking and sharing is the easiest, freest way to help us out and whatnot. So big shout out to Bruins Wine for coming on the show tonight, man. Thanks for being, I know you couldn't stay forever, but thanks for being here. We appreciate you. We will be back here next week, same time, same place. It will be a fun time. We're going to be talking more, like I said, RFAs. We'll probably, the Olympic hockey finally starts Wednesday. I don't know. There's nothing else on, so we'll probably mention it. But we'll be mostly talking about Blue Jacket stuff still. So yeah. Can't wait. See you all then.
Yes. So next week's show will be our first half season review, looking back at the season that was so far this season for the Blue Jackets. How did it go? There was some good, some bad, and everything in between, and we're going to talk about it and share our thoughts about how the first half of the season for the Blue Jackets has gone so far this season. Has gone this season. Anyways, as always, got to give a shout out to my awesome Uncle Doc, the best of the best. Good guy. Love talking to you, seeing you at, family parties, birthday parties, and get-togethers, and holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving, Easter, and so much more. And of course, love talking hockey with you. you were a big Blackhawks guy. The Blue Jackets became your second favorite team because of me, and I appreciate that so much. So thank you, Doc. But I wish you're still here so I could hang out with you and talk hockey with you. You could share your thoughts about how you think the Blackhawks are doing, and I could share my thoughts on how I think the Blue Jackets are doing. And of course, the Blue Jackets just had a game with the Blackhawks, and if you were still here, I'll be talking to you about that game and how you think that game went. How do you think the Blackhawks did? And I'd be sharing about how I think the Blue Jackets did during that game. So, miss you and wish you're still here. You were loved by your family and friends so much, a lot. Miss dearly, including me. I wish you were still here. You gave me so much love and inspiration, and I appreciate that, and got to keep that going. So I wish you're still here so I could talk some hockey with you, and I could share my thoughts. You could share your thoughts on how you think the Blackhawks are doing, and I could share my thoughts on how I think the Blue Jackets are doing. So shout out to my awesome Uncle Doc. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, rest in peace, Uncle Doc.
Okay, so as always, one last thing for me. Don't forget to check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. It's a fun Blue Jackets themed fan group that I do. We do marches to cheer on the Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets have done our marches. It's been on TV. Clay Hall, ABC 6 News. Whitney Harding, NBC4. Adam King from 10 TV. Last 2 years, he's been there. The Blue Jackets have done it. It's been on the scoreboard at a Blue Jackets game, a ticket commercial during the Blue Jackets game. The people who throw the T-shirts in the crowd at Blue Jackets games have been there. Stinger's been there. The Blue Jackets have promoted our marches. A lot of fun stuff. So you're going to have to, we do our marches before every Blue Jackets home opener. And if the Blue Jackets make the playoffs, I'm doing a playoff march. So got to definitely check out a Union Blue Soldiers march, whether that be for the Blue Jackets home opener or a Blue Jackets playoff game. It's just a fun time to bring Blue Jackets fans together to cheer on the Blue Jackets. So check that out. Follow Union Blue Soldiers on all social media platforms. Follow Union Blue Soldiers on all social media platforms. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. So that's it for me, and we'll see you next time. So thank you for watching, everyone. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. I'm done talking.
See y'all next week. Have a good one.